One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
This video is meant to help your content take off like the spaceship you've just seen. In order to increase the chance of this happening, all you need to do is download the workbook and complete its exercises as you watch the video. Let's get going. There is one thing without which your content will definitely fail. Can you guess what it is? It is, drumroll please, you. If you get sick or die, the content will get sick or die with you. This means you should probably stay healthy. Which is exactly what the first few chapters of the Boron Letters are about. Health. Gary says that the two most important habits he obtained throughout his life are 1. Road work and 2. Weekly fasting. When he says road work, he means running, walking, or jogging. I believe you already agree with its usefulness. But why fasting, you ask? Gary says it normalizes our body functions and helps build self-discipline. However, this wasn't enough to convince me, and I listened to the book that he mentioned, The Miracle of Fasting, by Paul Bragg. After reading, I concluded that the reason to fast is that in modern times, our bodies are overloaded with digesting, which is a very complicated process and takes up much of our mental and physical resources. If this is the first time you hear about this, you may be skeptical. But if you're a health fanatic like myself, I suggest you read or listen to The Miracle of Fasting by Paul Bragg for more information. In any case, for now, just trust me and try fasting on water for 24 hours once. Then, by next week, when you'll probably already finish The Miracle of Fasting, you may continue to do it weekly, in case you're completely convinced it will benefit your health, of course. Exercise. Answer the following questions. A. When will you do the fast? B. What may you gain from it? C. Why do you really want to do it? You may use the workbook below the video to answer these questions, and a few others too, as a bonus. Exercise 1 is do a 24-hour fast. When Gary just arrived at the Boron prison camp, he tried circling around what he called the hill, a very steep hill which was about 0.8 of a mile of climbing. At his very first try, he was barely able to walk around it once. But after just 3 brief weeks, he was already circling it 5 times, out of which 1 he did fully jogging. The hidden lesson is this: what separates winners and losers in life is simply trying again. Exercise. Write out 5 quotes on the subject of trying again. For example, a quitter never wins and a winner never quits. Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, Chapter 7, Organized Planning. Ready? You may pause the video and write out the quotes now. You may use the workbook below the video for convenience, or any other place, whichever suits you best. Exercise 2 is write out 5 positive quotes. Here we go again. Almost every marketing book, writes about this in one way or another. Find a market first and only then a product, not the other way around. In other words, in order to know how to make the best product, you need to know who you're making it for, right? Just for this reason, I made the Define Target Audience in about 5 minutes PDF, which is found in the description. Exercise. Fill out the Define Target Audience fillable PDF. B. Answer the following question. How long did it take you to fill it out? You may pause the video now and complete this exercise. For your convenience and some additional guidance, you may also use the workbook below the video. Exercise 3 is define your audience before making a product. After you've defined the target market, you may now get into the nitty-gritty of actually finding them. Now, the audience that will be most likely to watch your video is the audience that watched similar videos to yours, which are long, have done so multiple times, and have done so very recently. The best way I know of to find such an audience is by targeting the viewers of similar channels to yours in Google Ads. Exercise. Either in the workbook or in another place, fill out 10 channels where the videos are similar to yours and long. Then, watch the video above for a step-by-step guide on how to target these channels. This exercise is also available for bloggers in the Bloggers Workbook below. Exercise 4 is Find Your Starving Crowd. Would you like to always have your emails opened? You say you would? If so, you need to know that every person has 2 mail piles. One is the personal mails pile, and the other is the business mails pile. The first always gets read, and the second sometimes maybe gets read. For this reason, you want your mails to always be interpreted as personal mail. Here's one thing that may help. Exercise. Change your sender name in your email provider interface so that it shows just your first and last name, instead of the company name. Once you're done, you may use the workbook to mark completion. If having trouble, you may send an email to jan@improvementor.blog and I'll try to help. Exercise 5 is change your email sender name. As we've already established in the summary of how to write a good advertisement, the first thing we want an advertisement to do is grab attention. But it is not enough to get the readers to open the letter, we also need them to start reading it, with curiosity. For that reason, Gary used to insert some physical item on the top of his letters. For example, in one case, it was a dirt baggie. Now, this item should have a logical connection to the content of the letter, or else it may backfire. For example, the letter with the dirt baggie was selling real estate. So Gary explained how this dirt was a sample of the most valuable thing on earth: real estate. He explained it was taken from one of the last private beaches that were for sale in Hawaii. On the other hand, an example of how not to do it is an advertisement with the headline, "A submarine that flies." In its first paragraph it said, "No, we don't have a submarine that flies, but our pink pills," etc. People hate this kind of deception. Exercise. In the content piece you're currently working on, include a short video in its beginning with the purpose of simply grabbing attention. Or, if you're already in its finishing stages and wouldn't like to change it now, write down what short video you could include in the beginning of the previous content piece to better grab attention. Then, use the workbook to document your answers, or any other place, of course. You may pause the video and take action now. Exercise 6 is including or brainstorming an attention grabber. If you get a letter that says, "Hi, insert name," here's a way for insert age-year-olds to make money from real estate in insert city. Would you be more likely to read the rest of it than if it says only, "Hi, here's a way to make money from real estate"? I bet you would, because you know it's for you and you only. Or at least someone very, very close to your situation. For this reason, you know you probably won't waste time on general advice and get advice that you may actually apply. Exercise. In your currently in production content piece, in its opt-in form, include a field that asks for the lead's name, year of birth, or country. One which you didn't use earlier. Which one did you include? You may pause the video, complete the exercise, and write the answer to the question now. You may use the workbook below the video, or any other place, whichever suits you best. Exercise 7 is gather additional personal information. To become a great writer, Gary says you must write great writing. That's why Gary suggests you copy some great ads in your own handwriting, because then you are, in fact, writing great ads and imprinting their lessons on your nervous system. Here's an exercise to help you do just that. Exercise. Copy the ad Tova's facelift in a jar from start to end, word by word. For the best effect, use your own handwriting on a piece of paper. The link to the ad is found in the description. You may pause the video and do it now. Once you finish, please play the video for the second part of the exercise. Way to go on completing the first part. Now, pick one of the paragraphs which you believe is particularly effective. Then, in the workbook, or any other place, type it out and answer the following. Why did you think this paragraph was particularly effective? You may pause the video and complete the second part of the exercise now. Exercise 8 is copy great ads in your own handwriting. If you'd like to improve your content after you've finished writing your first draft, Gary recommends you read it out loud. That is because when you do it, you will naturally feel the stumbles in the text. You should then rewrite it and repeat the process until it is completely free of stumbles. Because advertising has to be the smoothest writing of all. Exercise. Read your content out loud and write out all the places that have stumbles without fixing at first. Then, go back and smoothen all of them out. You may put a reminder in your calendar or alarm clock to the time you think you'll finish your first draft now. Then, rewatch and complete the exercise. You may use the workbook to write your notes and get some additional value. Or, alternatively, any other place, whichever suits you best. Exercise 9 is smoothen your content. There are two ways to test your content effectiveness that pop to my mind. One is by testing a small amount of copy first. For example, Gary used to send 1,000 letters profit, then 50,000, profit some more, and so on. However, in our case as content creators, because we often build an audience without a product first, our ads are measured by engagement and not income. So, even if they're successful, increasing the budget is probably not the best option, because if we'll scale too much without ROI, we'll eventually go broke. Instead, we may do an A/B test and limit potential losses by finding better performing headlines every time. Here's an exercise to help you make one. Exercise A. Write out 6 headlines you could potentially use in the ad of exercise 4 instead of the current one. You may pause the video and do it now, in the workbook below or any other place, whichever suits you best. B. Pick one of the 6 headlines that you think will be most effective and that you would like to perform the test on. Yet again, you may pause the video and do it now. C. Lastly, if you write a blog or make YouTube videos, use the step-by-step guides below the video to launch a duplicate of the ad in exercise 4. If you use another platform, please find a way to duplicate the ad there with the chosen headline from part B of this exercise and launch the duplicate now. Exercise 10A is limit losses by an A/B test. The second way to test your content's effectiveness is simply by measuring your main metric, which is most probably email leads, in our case as content creators. Then you may at least know if you're succeeding or not and whether you're improving or not from content piece to content piece. Exercise. Answer the following. After 1 week of launching the ads from exercises 4 and 10, how many form views and leads did you get from both of them? You may put a reminder in your calendar or alarm clock now. Then rewatch and complete the exercise in the workbook or any other place, whichever suits you best. Exercise 10B is objectively measure your performance. So, to sum it all up, in order to help your content take off, the exercises in this video were extracted from the knowledge of Gary Halbert, a widely praised copywriter. Then, they were interpreted for content creators by one of your own, a content creator. Now, as you've probably already noticed, to help increase the chances of you applying these exercises, I created a workbook that you can use as a companion to this video or the blog post and fill out as you go along. I want you to actually improve after this video, not just watch it and be entertained. For that reason, I really urge you, if you still haven't, to watch the video again and fill out the exercises now. Well, apart for the 2 which are for later, that is. Why now? Because the time to act is when the iron is hot, when the emotion is high. Otherwise, you're more likely to just fall back into your old routine. Of course, we all have limited time and obligations waiting for us. So, in case your allotted time for improving today is over, I urge you to review the video and fill out the workbook along with it instead of your next theory learning session. Because what good will any theory do for you if you never get down to practice? If you decide to delay, please write down in your calendar when you'll do it instead, to make sure that it does get done. That's it, improvementers. If you have any questions whatsoever, or feedback, or requests, please reach out to me in the comments or the email yan@improvementer.blog. Thank you for watching, stay awesome, and bye-bye.